right, I am live with Jonny Price from Wefunder. I'm super excited for this one because we are partnering together, MicroAcquire and Wefunder. Kind of a match made in heaven. I was telling Jonny before we started recording that I've had requests more than I can count for microfund financing before getting acquired. And it just made natural sense to work with the best. And so here I am with Jonny from Wefunder. So Jonny, thanks for joining the pod.
Thank you, sir. It is great to be here.
Well, I love what is that light behind you? That's like it looks like a.
No, I should probably make this into an NFT because it's kind of coming in front of my face. It looks like I'm a hologram maybe, but it's really me. I'm not a hologram. I'm a real person. But yeah, the light is from our office, our Nashville office here our Wefunder office here in Nashville, Tennessee. Which is our second Wefunder office. We're based in San Francisco, but I moved out here June 2020, and we now have 8 of us here working out of the Nashville office. One of the things we want to do at Wefunder is get more capital flowing to founders throughout the country, not just on the coast. So it's awesome for us to have a physical presence here in the heartland.
Nice. Do you remember when I stopped by the original, maybe it was the original Wefunder office?
Yeah, in San Francisco, Noe Valley, I think.
Yeah, good times.
That
was like 3 years ago, or
it was
5 or something. I don't know.
2018 maybe. Yeah, I used to live 2 blocks away from that office in Noe Valley. We did the classic San Francisco thing, my wife and I, where we lived in the Mission, in our fun-loving 20s, and then we had kids and moved to Noe Valley, and then we had another kid and moved to Nashville.
Nice. We could probably have another podcast on that, just in terms of I lived in San Francisco for 5 years, became a dad, and then I moved to San Diego, company was acquired, and then moved to San Mateo, and now I have a 2-year-old son. Anyways, we're here to talk about, just so everyone knows that doesn't know, what does Wefunder do? What's the founding story? Let's start there and see where it takes us.
Yeah, so Wefunder was founded back in 2012, 6 long years before I joined the company in 2018. Our founders were frustrated that they had all these smart friends that were starting companies. They wanted to invest in those companies, but they weren't able to do so because they were not accredited investors. They weren't millionaires. And they said, this isn't very American. I can go to Las Vegas and drop $5,000 on the spin of a roulette wheel. I can invest in public companies on the stock market. Why the hell can't I invest $5,000 in my friend's really cool startup when I know him and trust him? And so they lobbied Congress and managed to change the securities laws that have been in effect for 80 years since the 1930s. That basically prohibited, non-millionaires from investing in startups. And so in 2012, the Jobs Act was passed through Congress. The SEC rolled out the new rules in May 2016. And so for the last 5 years, coming up in 6 years, I guess, Wefunder's been leading the charge and enabling founders, enabling startups to raise capital, not just from rich people, not just from accredited investors, but also from their customers and their community and their fans. We use this exemption called regulation crowdfunding. There were some updates to those rules in March of last year, which now enable startups to raise $5 million per year. You can publicly promote the raise. You can use this weird and wonderful new thing called the internet to actually, promote your fundraise.
The internet, huh? Tell me more. So let me pull that back and see if I can simplify. So yeah, you got to be an accredited investor to invest in startups right now. So that means you got to make 250,000 or more a year, or maybe
200K, 300K household income, or $1 million in net worth.
Million liquid assets. Yeah. So you gotta be making some cash.
You gotta be rich.
Yeah. So Wefunder, and I've invested personally, just for disclosure, I've invested in Wefunder and a number of companies on Wefunder, and I think it's just awesome what you guys are doing in terms of leveling the playing field for amazing companies that you just can't get access to for one reason or another. But I think the main reason for not getting access shouldn't be how much money you make. 100%. I totally agree. So I love your mission. I love how your founders went and fought for that law to be changed. So that's badass. I guess with that being said, tell me about maybe some of your favorite Wefunder. I really like the concept of the community round, where you can get capital from many different sources today, but getting investment from your customers and your biggest advocates. Tell me maybe like one or two of like your favorite like community rounds that you've seen. I probably invested in one of them.
Yeah, so Mercury Bank's definitely up there. Rocket Ship startup, 40,000 startup customers. They're building a bank made for startups, right? And so he'd raised a 120 million Series B. I think K2 led it, and Jason Horowitz were in it. And then he said, I don't need the money, just raise this Series B. But hey, I think it would be a good thing for my business if I open up a small allocation to let my customers invest. And so he opened a Wefunder round, community round, and literally within 5 hours, I think maybe sent one email, and his customers just kind of flooded in and invested on the same terms as
I was one
Jason
of them.
Horowitz.
Yeah.
You were one of them. You probably
Yeah.
got the email. So that's a really cool example. I mean, you talked about kind of leveling the playing field and letting anyone invest in startups, right? Not just rich people. That's a huge part of our mission. That's one half of our mission, the investor part of our mission. On the other side of the table, right? One of the reasons I work at Wefunder is to level the playing field and enable more founders to raise capital, make it easier for them to raise capital. Right now, if you look at the percentage of venture capital going to, Black founders is 1%, right? Female only founding teams is 3% versus like 80% male only founding teams. Only 23% of VC goes to the states that aren't California, New York, and Massachusetts. So what we're trying to do is to say, if you can democratize angel investing, let anyone angel invest, then hopefully we can get more capital flow into women of color here in Tennessee, where I am. And so just one example on that note, Kim Lewis, the founder of Kelmix, CPG company, Black female founder, amazing woman out in Chicago, just recently closed $3.5 million on Wefunder. Two Latina founders, Lil Libros. It's a company that's publishing books in the Spanish language, featuring Latinx people, just kind of more representation among the Latino community. And those two Latina founders are coming up on $4 million raise. So those are some, and kind of if you read the comments, right? This is one of my favorite things about Wefunder. I don't know if you've done this, but like reading the investor notes. So when people invest, we ask them, why did you invest? And if you read the comments on the Lil Libros page, everyone is like, I'm so excited to see more representation of my community. So that's why I'm investing this $100. I really believe in you. Like, and you can just tell those people then, now they're an owner of this company. They were enthusiastic about this company before. Now they're going to be kind of supercharged ambassadors for this brand. That is really what a community round is all about.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And those numbers you shared are unfortunate and definitely need to start trending in the right direction. So it's great to hear you guys are leading that initiative. And then I guess my next question would be, in terms of, startups go through, financing and they get to a point of an exit. How do you see founders benefiting from MicroAcquire, just as an example?
Yeah, I mean, you've done a good job in selling me on this with various. You've done an amazing job of kind of building in public, and I love reading your updates to investors that you put out. And I've had many horror stories over the last few years working at Wefunder. I'm sure you've had many more of just founders kind of going through the acquisition process, getting kind of strung along for months and months, and then everything falls through at the last minute is a very common one, right? Or just like not having any transparency into the process. I mean, it's kind of like when you raise your first venture round, right? You don't really know what you're doing, and there's all these complicated terms, and you don't know the dance. And so just more transparency, more kind of support for founders along the way, a marketplace where you're just trying to put buyers in touch with sellers and just modernize that process. It's desperately needed, as I think you're seeing by the hockey stick growth that you guys have been seeing over the last year or so. It's a clear testament there's a real market need for the product you're building. And obviously, Wefunder founders, seed rounds, even friends and family. Honestly, I say run a friends and family round on Wefunder, right? But pre-seed, seed, Series A, B, early stage rounds, and then hopefully in a few years' time they're looking to get acquired. So obviously I think it's a match made in heaven partnership wise between Wefunder and MicroAcquire.
You pitched MicroAcquire very well, and thank you for that.
Hey, if Wefunder doesn't work out, man, it's good to know it's a home for me on your PD team.
I think that's the part I'm most excited for is number one, just to bring more attention to I think community rounds and giving people the opportunity to invest in companies they would never have access to, and also
100%.
helping with the diversity problem that we have in terms of people of color or women looking to raise financing. There's a clear gap that needs to be closed, and I love how you guys are fixing that. And then when you go and sell your company, I always say founders are not trained to sell their company at all.
Right.
We're not. We're taught how to grow it, market it. There's thousands of books on all those topics, but when it comes to the end, arguably the most important part of the founder's journey, it's like what do I do? Does Google just show up with a check and they're like, hey, hey, you're getting acquired? So we're doing our best to educate founders and helping them go through that process with a little.
Kind of like buying a house, right? I've now I guess bought 3 houses, and so there's a law of diminishing returns, I guess, where it's getting easier over time as I start to familiarize myself with this strange process. But the first time you buy a house, it's literally more money than you've ever spent on anything else by 1, maybe 2 orders of magnitude, right? And this agent is kind of walking you through the process, and you kind of hope that they're doing you right, but you really don't know much about it, and you're trying to read up on it, but you learn lessons along the way. And I also feel like there needs to be more support. Maybe after you MicroAcquire has made it, then you can go on and fix the home buying process as well. But very similar thing, huge decision, huge process, very opaque process oftentimes that needs modernizing.
Yeah, I love how this partnership is where you guys help companies that may not have access to a large network of VCs or something to get financed. And then with MicroAcquire, same thing. You don't have to hire a broker. You don't have to hire an investment banker. You connect with buyers immediately and globally as well. So if you're in we've done acquisitions on every continent except Antarctica. I always joke about that. So
that's next.
Yeah, if anyone's watching this and you're in Antarctica, please list on MicroAcquire. But I guess to wrap this up, so on MicroAcquire, I do hear from founders a lot where they are in this decision of, should I sell my company or should I raise money? There's no really a right answer to that. It's a very personal decision. And I've had, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, some requests to where do I raise funding? I can't find investors. And naturally, I've just been kind of referring them over to hey, check out Wefunder. They're fantastic. So if there's someone watching this and they're looking to raise on Wefunder, can you outline just the process super simply? How does it work? How do they get started? What do they need? What should they expect?
Yeah, wefunder.com/raise is where you can go to get more info and start an application. Or you can hit me up. You can find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, and then I respond on both those places.
And Jonny does. I confirm that, John. You're quick to respond, man.
Thank you, man. You basically start an application. Our team will walk you through the whole process, right? So we will reach out, get on a call with you, and explain to you in a lot more depth than I'm about to do. So hold your hand every step of the way. I think I've heard you guys do the same thing with your clients, which is super important. Again, it's like the house buying process, right? It's like when you're getting acquired, I haven't done this before, help. And so if you can provide that support, it's super valuable for founders. And so we try to do the same thing on the fundraising side. But you put together a profile page, which is kind of like a pitch deck. There's a button to upload a pitch deck to the webpage, polish that, make it sparkle. You are required on Wefunder to find a lead investor. Typically, they're putting in a minimum of 5% of the round. So if you're looking at raising 500,000, maybe they're putting in 25K. So maybe it's an angel investor investing 25K. And so that lead investor is kind of prominently featured on the campaign page. They're going to lend their credibility to help you, successfully raise. They're also going to vote for the shares of the individual investors in the SPV. So we roll investors to one line on your cap table, and the lead investor is going to vote for those shares. So finding a lead investor, and with the lead investor, you're kind of negotiating on the terms, right? So are we raising on a safe, a convertible note, a price round? Are we doing a loan, which we allow on Wefunder? What's the valuation cap? What's the discount rate? How much are we looking at raising? So set the terms. And then you can pull the trigger and launch. And we've had companies, basically go through that whole process and launch on Wefunder in less than a day. It can be very easy. We try to be very, very founder friendly and kind of fast moving. Before you get the money, you need to do some legal paperwork with the SEC. Again, our team will walk you through that. You need to share financials as part of that, and then file the Form C with the SEC, and then we can get you the money. And the average campaign on Wefunder, I would say, probably lasts for 2 or 3 months. Like I say, sometimes Mercury, which I'm glad you got into, because that was $5 million in 5 hours. So sometimes it can go super quick if the company has a big audience and it's a really hot company. But probably average company is 2 or 3 months. And then close it and get the money. We take a percentage fee through the partnership with you guys. Any MicroAcquire customers are getting a discount on Wefunder fees from 7.5% to 6.5%. That's how we make our money. But it's a very kind of simple, clear fee. We're also the cheapest platform in the industry. So yeah, that's the process in a nutshell.
Smooth. I dig it. How much have you guys helped founders raise in total to date?
We just passed 400 million. Last year we did about 200 million. So you can see, like, we'd been around for 10 years and we did half of that in the last year. So it really is like, 10 years to be an overnight success kind of thing. But
quite literally with you guys.
Really. It's a cool story, actually. I think you tweeted something like this the other day, right? Where it's like our founders, Nick and Greg, just like immense resilience, right? Like when I joined, Wefunder was pretty flat. The rules were not in our favor. We couldn't do one line on the cap table. Companies were limited to $1 million per year. Now it's 5 million. And so, but they just had the tenacity to hang in there, keep at it, keep plugging away. And then when the law changed last year, pandemic, I think, also accelerated our growth. And now they're reaping the reward for having the resilience to stick at it for literally a decade. And if we look ahead, like the pipeline of companies we have now that are going to replicate that Mercury playbook, Levels is live right now. Rome Research was a cool one that we did last year. Like it's really exciting with imagining. We grew by roughly, I think about 4x last year, and we're on track to keep that growth going in 2022. It's really exciting.
Nice. I'm excited for you guys, and congrats on all the success. And then I can speak from the whole MicroAcquire team. We're definitely excited to formalize a partnership with you guys. And to summarize, so anything that heads over, any MicroAcquire user that raises on Wefunder, you get a 20% discount. Jonny will roll out the red carpet for you. If he doesn't, shoot me an email and I'll make sure he does. But Jonny, thanks so much for joining me on this podcast. I've been a huge fan of Wefunder for years, as you know. And I guess if people wanted to, get in contact with you directly, or anyone at Wefunder, which is general questions, where should they go?
My email is jonny@wefunder.com, JONNY @wefunder.com. Or like I say, I respond. I think I have open DMs on Twitter, LinkedIn. So I'm pretty accessible. Busy, but accessible.
Right on. Well, Jonny, thanks again for this chat. And again, really excited to be working with you guys, and great job on all the progress, and keep fighting for founders.
Thank you, man. Andrew, today is my birthday.
It is. Happy birthday, man.
24 today.
You're not 24.
24 plus 15, but yeah, it's I can think of a better birthday present than spending these precious minutes with you, sir. So thanks.
Jonny.
Thanks for that birthday present.
Yeah, you should have told me that before we were chatting, man. Happy birthday. All right. Well, I hope you have a great birthday.
The card's in the mail, right? The card's in the mail.
The car is in the mail. I got something better going. No, just kidding. But Johnny, it's been a pleasure. I
Likewise,
think
man.
a lot of founders are going to benefit from this and just everything you and the Wefunder team does. So I'm rooting for you guys all the way and excited to be working with you.
Likewise. Cheers,
All
Andrew.
right, man. Cheers.